We are born like this, into these carefully mad wars, into the sight of broken factory windows of emptiness, into bars where people no longer speak to each other, not much, and the bartender wipes the counter with the same rag and never smiles. Charles Bukowski. This quote, a grim snapshot of modern alienation, hangs in the air like a cloud of cheap whiskey and despair. It's pure Bukowski, a raw nerve exposed, a guttural cry against the soul-crushing monotony of modern existence. He saw the world through a cracked lens, a world where the pursuit of happiness often led to dead-end jobs, loveless relationships, and a gnawing sense of existential dread. Now, before you relegate him to the dustbin of history as just another bitter, misogynistic drunk, let's delve deeper into the mind of this literary renegade. Bukowski wasn't merely a chronicler of despair. He was a keen observer of human nature, a philosopher of the everyday, a poet of the downtrodden. He peeled back the layers of societal pretense to expose the raw, pulsating anxieties beneath, anxieties that continue to resonate with readers today. Born in Germany during the tumultuous Weimar Republic and raised in Depression-era Los Angeles, Bukowski experienced firsthand the harsh realities of poverty, violence, and social alienation. He witnessed the seductive rise of consumerism, the chilling paranoia of the Cold War, and the fiery protests of the Vietnam War era. These events forged his cynical outlook, his deep-seated distrust of authority, and his unwavering empathy for the underdog. He saw how these historical forces warped the individual psyche, creating a pervasive sense of disconnection and a yearning for meaning in a world that seemed increasingly meaningless. He saw people trapped in the soul-crushing monotony of the rat race, chasing after fleeting pleasures, their dreams withering under the weight of societal expectations. He saw the rise of a culture obsessed with appearances, where people hid behind masks of success and happiness, while their inner lives crumbled, and he raged against it all. Bukowski's writing is a visceral experience, a literary Molotov cocktail hurled at the face of complacency. He attacked the societal norms that stifled individuality and creativity. He ridiculed the relentless pursuit of money and status, exposing the emptiness that lurked beneath the veneer of success. He gave voice to the voiceless, the forgotten, the marginalized, capturing their quiet desperation and their fading hopes. In his poem, The Shoelace, he paints a chilling picture of this existential entrapment. There is a loneliness in this world so great that you can see it in the slow movement of the hands of a clock. He captures the agonizing feeling of being disconnected, of time slipping away while we're busy chasing illusions. He urges us to break free from the shoelaces that bind us, the invisible strings of societal expectations that prevent us from living authentic lives. This sense of entrapment, of being bound by invisible forces, resonates deeply with those who feel lost in the machinery of modern life. This yearning for authenticity is a recurring theme in Bukowski's work. He despised the phoniness, the masks people wear to fit in, the constant pressure to project an image of success and happiness. In Women, his semi-autobiographical novel, his alter ego, Henry Chinesky, stumbles through a series of dysfunctional relationships, searching for genuine connection in a world of superficial encounters. He observes, "I looked at the women. I looked at the men. I looked at the children. They were all going someplace. They were all in a hurry. They were all unhappy." This seemingly simple observation reveals a profound truth about modern society. We're perpetually going someplace, striving for some external marker of success, but failing to find happiness in the present moment. Bukowski implores us to slow down, to question our motivations, and to find meaning in the everyday, rather than constantly chasing after some elusive future. But it's in his scathing critique of the education system that Bukowski's rebellious spirit truly ignites. In Ham on Rye, he describes his school years as a form of psychological torture, a place where creativity was systematically crushed and conformity ruthlessly enforced. He writes, "The teachers were the enemy." He saw the education system as a microcosm of society, a place where individuals were molded to fit into predefined roles, their unique talents and passions disregarded or even punished. This resonates with anyone who has ever felt like a square peg in a round hole, forced to conform to a system that doesn't value their individuality. Bukowski championed the school of hard knocks, the education that comes from living life on your own terms, making mistakes, and learning from experience. But here's the twist. Bukowski's rants weren't just about tearing down the established order. Amidst the cynicism and despair, there's a glimmer of hope, a call to action. He challenges us to resist the pressures of conformity, to embrace our flaws, and to find beauty in the mundane. He reminds us that even in the face of absurdity, we have the power to choose our own path. This brings us to one of the most powerful and haunting passages in Bukowski's work, his poem Dinosauria, We. It's a bleak, apocalyptic vision of the future, a world ravaged by war, pollution, and human greed. But amidst the destruction, there's a spark of defiance, a refusal to give up. He writes, born into these carefully mad wars, into the sight of broken factory windows of emptiness, into bars where people no longer speak to each other not much, and the bartender wipes the counter with the same rag and never smiles, but the dinosaur is still alive. This dinosaur represents the indomitable human spirit, the primal urge to survive and create, even in the face of overwhelming odds. It's a reminder that even when the world seems to be falling apart, there's still a part of us that refuses to be extinguished. Bukowski, the poet laureate of the downtrodden, the champion of the misfits, left behind a legacy of rebellion that continues to resonate with readers today. Now, let's delve deeper into the enduring relevance of his rants and the psychology behind his timeless appeal. You might be thinking, okay, this is all very interesting, but what does a grumpy old man yelling at pigeons have to do with me? I'm not a disillusioned alcoholic poet living in 1950s Los Angeles. But that's where you'd be wrong. Bukowski's rants, though rooted in a specific time and place, transcend their historical context. They speak to universal human experiences, the yearning for authenticity, the struggle against conformity, the search for meaning in a world that often seems meaningless. In today's world, where consumerism is amplified by the constant barrage of online advertising, social media fuels a culture of comparison and envy, and the pressure to succeed is relentless. Bukowski's message is more relevant than ever. He provides a much-needed antidote to the digital age, reminding us to resist the siren song of consumerism. The constant pursuit of material possessions, fueled by targeted ads and influencer culture, is a dead end. Find meaning beyond the accumulation of things. Cultivate experiences, nurture relationships, and pursue personal growth. Bukowski, who lived a life largely devoid of material possessions, reminds us that true wealth lies in experiences and connections, not in the accumulation of things. Embrace your authentic self. Don't hide behind carefully curated online personas or pretend to be someone you're not. Celebrate your flaws and imperfections. In a world obsessed with filters and facades, authenticity is a revolutionary act. Bukowski, with his raw and unfiltered portrayal of himself and his experiences, gives us permission to be ourselves, imperfections and all. Question authority. The education system, the workplace, the political system, they're all designed to maintain the status quo. Challenge the established order and fight for a more just and equitable world. Don't let algorithms and echo chambers dictate your thoughts and beliefs. Bukowski, a lifelong rebel who challenged authority at every turn, reminds us that critical thinking and independent thought are essential in a world where information is often manipulated and controlled. Never give up on your dreams. Even when the world seems to be conspiring against you, remember the dinosaur within you, that primal force that drives you to create, to connect, and to leave your mark on the world. Don't let the noise and distractions of the digital age drown out your inner voice. Bukowski, who persevered despite rejection and criticism, inspires us to pursue our passions, even when the odds seem stacked against us. Bukowski's enduring appeal lies in his ability to tap into our deep-seated psychological need for rebellion. In a world that often feels stifling and restrictive, his work offers a cathartic release, a vicarious experience of breaking free from the shackles of conformity. Psychologists have long recognized the importance of rebellion in human development. It's a natural part of adolescence, as young people seek to establish their own identities and challenge the authority of their parents and society. But the need for rebellion doesn't disappear in adulthood. We all have a part of us that yearns for freedom, for autonomy, for the right to define ourselves on our own terms. Bukowski's work speaks to this primal need. He embodies the rebellious spirit, the refusal to conform, the courage to challenge the status quo. He reminds us that it's okay to question authority, to embrace our individuality, and to forge our own path in life. His writing serves as a reminder that conformity can be a slow death of the soul, and that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our values and passions. But why, decades after his death, does Bukowski continue to resonate with readers? What is it about his work that continues to captivate and inspire? Perhaps it's his honesty, his unflinching portrayal of the human condition, warts and all. He doesn't shy away from the darkness, the ugliness, the despair. But he also finds beauty in the mundane, the everyday moments that most of us take for granted. He shows us that life is a messy, complicated, and often contradictory experience, but it's also filled with moments of grace, beauty, and even humor. Or maybe it's his rebellious spirit, his refusal to conform, his unwavering belief in the individual. He reminds us that it's okay to be different, to be an outsider, to challenge the status quo. In a world that often tries to force us into predefined boxes, Bukowski encourages us to break free and embrace our uniqueness. Or perhaps it's his humor, his ability to find the absurdity in the midst of suffering. He doesn't take himself or the world too seriously, and he reminds us that laughter can be a powerful weapon against the forces of conformity and despair. Even in his darkest moments, Bukowski finds humor, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, we can find reasons to laugh and to celebrate the absurdity of life. Whatever the reason, Bukowski's voice continues to echo through the corridors of literature, a defiant roar against the forces of conformity and complacency. He reminds us that even in the face of absurdity, we have the power to choose our own path, to create our own meaning, and to live our lives on our own terms. He leaves us with a blueprint for authentic living, a guide to navigating the complexities of modern life while staying true to ourselves. He encourages us to embrace our individuality, to question authority, to find beauty in the mundane, and to never give up on our dreams. So, the next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the absurdity of it all, remember Bukowski. Raise a glass to the old curmudgeon, and let his words be a reminder to never stop questioning, never stop fighting, and never stop being yourself. Because in a world that often feels like a carefully orchestrated madness, a little bit of Bukowski's rebellious spirit might be just what we need to stay sane. His legacy is a testament to the power of the individual voice, a voice that speaks truth to power, challenges the status quo, and inspires us to live more authentic and fulfilling lives. In a world that often tries to silence dissent and enforce conformity, Bukowski's defiant roar continues to remind us that the dinosaur within us is still alive, and that the fight for individuality and freedom is far from over.